Welcome back to Boys and Ghouls Film Review, folks. It's another good night of doing podcasting tonight. So this is Sarah Stephenson and it's my co-host Mike Stephenson.
Hi guys.
So tonight we'll be reviewing the based off a book, obviously, called Let the Right One In, which is called, in other words, Let Me In.
Yeah,
which was released in 2010.
Yeah, Let Me In was done in 2010, but there was a European version done about the same time. I think it came out 2008, and that was called Let the Right One In, which is, I think, the same title as the book, was it?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So anyway,
but I saw the foreign version first. I saw this one recently, so yeah.
Yeah. But again, as I said before, this is sort of the same story, just in English.
Yeah, somewhat.
Which is not too bad. I mean, you heard me comment about movies that are done in foreign areas, foreign countries, and then get remade over here.
Yes, Americanized or Anglicised or whatever. Yeah.
And while some movies I object to being remade over and over, there are some I can probably make an accept. In this case, this is an accept.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Mike, go on.
All the goodies. Produced by, lots of people. There you go. Alex Brunner, Simon Oakes, Guy East, Tobin Armbrust, Donna Gigliotti, John Nordling, and Carl Molinder. Okay, here we go. Directed by Matt Reeves. He also wrote the screenplay. Yeah, here it is. Based on the book Let the Right One In by John, looks like Adjvid, linguist, Lindqvist.
Makes you wonder.
Anyway, obviously European. What else? Oh yeah, budget 20 mil. Only made about 27.9 mil at the box office. However,
slightly over the mark. Slightly over the mark.
Slightly over. See, it's really hard. Don't know what does in home media, so you could have made people some more money there. So, do not know. Okay.
By a niche.
What else can I say? No, nothing else to say. This is made by Hammer Films. Is this one of the early ones they made when they first reformed? Or?
Yeah, when Hammer went into hibernation for, say, a few years. After, they finished in the 70s, ended their whatever they were doing, and came back a few years later to do
quite a few years later.
A few productions here and there. It's a little bit of a surprise that they had to wait this long. I mean, for sure, when Friday the 13th, Halloween, and all the other horror movies and 80s stuff started coming out that deal with more sex, gore, and rock and roll, Hammer went into hibernation. I guess couldn't keep up with the newest trends, or maybe.
Yeah, I got a funny feeling that their style of filming wasn't keeping up with the bigger studios. Possibly, and they weren't making the money they were once making.
Considering that they're mostly focused on, they're mostly focused on horror, mystery, supernatural creatures, a couple of TV series, and even long before that, they did a few sci-fis like I don't know what the names of what's it called again, and they also did a called Never Take Candy from a Stranger, which was more of a drama, based on, well, not really based on anything, really, to be honest, but it's based off some things that could really happen in real life when you think about it. And, of course, imagine that movie didn't get very many good views.
Anyway, this isn't about Hammer Studios, it's about Let Me In the film. Yeah, I can't say too much more.
But it does take the movie to new dimensions, like into American world.
They kept the same sort of feeling up. I do prefer the foreign version. I'm not knocking this one at all. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was a European book, and had a European feel to the story. And then when it was made in Europe, I think it had a bit more a sense of reality to it.
Yeah, well, it does have a sense of reality.
And I think the American one, even though it's good, it tried to make it feel that way. Whatever.
Whatever. So who stars in it is
Lots
the big
of people.
question.
Okay, there's the two main ones are the kids. Two kids. Young girl, a lovely little girl, who's I won't say what she is, and a young boy who she befriends. Now, the young boy is played by Cody Smit-McPhee. He plays Owen, a 12-year-old bullied boy, and becomes Abby's boyfriend. Now, Abby is a little girl.
Yeah, 12-year-old.
A 12-year-old girl. And she is played by Chloe Grace Moretz.
I thought she was really cute.
She's been in other things. I know her name. I just can't remember what she's been at the moment. But she's been in quite a few things.
Yeah. Anyway, she looks really adorable in this movie.
Yeah. I won't say what she is or who she is. But there is a man posing as her father, played by Richard Jenkins. I won't mention anybody else, because most of them are just bit pieces in here.
And there's no point in talking about the parents, because the parents are barely in this production.
Like the little boy's mother and stuff. She's just there, but not.
She's there, but she's not there.
Yeah,
she doesn't play a very big role in it, and we don't see too much of her face or features or anything of her.
Grumble, see you later. Food's in the oven. So, that sort of stuff. Anyway, irrespective, do you want to start telling the story?
Yeah, sure. So the story begins. An ambulance is taking a man to a hospital. He's severely burnt, don't get me wrong.
With acid.
And the detective arrives there. He wants to know his identity, because he's burnt his face, which will prevent any chance of ever face recognition whatsoever.
Exactly.
So, anyway, he hands him a notepad and a pen, and he leaves the room, and he gets a call from one of the nurses downstairs telling him that his daughter was downstairs asking for him, and he asks about what her age was and what other stuff. We don't hear on the phone what they were talking about. And then we find out we hear a scream, and we see the man, the burnt man, is actually, he's dead. He fell from the floor, from the window and onto the floor. I mean the ground on, below, obviously. Then we flash back 12 days ago, I think it was. Right, is that right, Mike?
Oh, we got 12 days. I can't remember now.
Yeah, 12 or 2 weeks ago, whatever. So, and we see a young boy named Owen, who is a loner, has no friends, and his parents are on the route of divorce, all that stuff.
Exactly.
So he lives with his mother currently in an apartment building, and he's a loner. He has no friends at school, and he's just that. Anyway, so he's bullied at school by this boy named Kenny and his mates, who just do everything nasty to him, and he doesn't.
They're always picking on him.
Calling him a little girl, yada yada.
He's a little wimpy kid. Not knocking the guy, but that's what they saw him as. Yeah.
We see him in his room later on, looking through a telescope, doing a rear window thing,
checking on his neighbours.
Yeah, we see a few neighbours doing it, a few fooling around.
A guy working out his weights and stuff. And
Then we see two people moving into their accommodations. An older man and a little girl, a 12-year-old. And they head inside, and they actually are living across from Owen's apartment. So he then meets Abby. Oh, that's the name of the little girl I should mention. And they get along with each other a little bit. Of course, she says that she cannot be his friend. But that doesn't stop.
For reasons to be found out later on.
Yeah. We also learned that the man is, not, well, we won't go into that details yet. Anyway.
Now, the man is her carer, I suppose.
Guardian, carer. That's probably the best word to describe. Anyway, we see him in the woods one night, and he actually killed a kid, I think it was, and he gathered his blood, and he was about to take the bottle of blood away, but then he slips on some ice or whatever, and the bottle itself falls and leaks all over the place, and he's about to pick it up, and he finds that it's all leaked all over the place, and before he could get more out of the body, if he could, the police were coming, so he had to dash off and he heads back to the apartment, and of course Abby goes at him saying all sorts of things. You could hear a voice booming really loudly. It was hard to tell if it was a man's voice or her voice, obviously, but it's pretty obvious it's her voice. She then heads off and she meets a man and she bites into his neck, drinking his blood, and then she snaps his neck. I think the snapping of the neck plays a relevant to the story, to be honest. Anyway, we then cross over to the school assembly where the police are explaining to the school about a missing boy who turned up dead and the killer on the loose, sort of thing. Anyway, so we then meet Kenny, the bully, who is bullying Owen by, doing the wedgie thing, which I think looks more painful than people in movies predict.
Oh, yeah. It looks painful, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look really
yeah, they would have given him a squeaky voice, I'll tell you right now. Yeah.
More than that, could just damage his things down there.
He did pee himself.
Yeah, they tease him and call him a little girl and stuff like that and just head on their way. Anyway, we do find Owen later on. He actually buys a few of his favourite lollies, and a very sharp pocket knife.
Yeah, a little folding knife. Yeah, like I used to call them pen knives here in Australia.
And he starts using it as a threatening a tree, and there Abby appears before him again and asks him about what's he doing, and he tells her about the bullies, and she says to fight back, stuff like that. So anyway, he also gives her a special puzzle, a Rubik's Cube.
A Rubik's Cube, yeah. She likes puzzles, this little girl. Yeah.
Yeah, and he also asks her when is her birthday and stuff like that, and when was she born, and where is her mother. And she says her mother's dead. She doesn't remember her birthday, which is odd because when you're...
No, she said, he asked a question, how old are you or when you were born a while ago. Yeah, she said she skirted the question, so didn't want to sort of answer it. Yeah.
She was 12 currently.
For a while.
Anyway, so she does take the Rubik's Cube, or he gives it to her, and she solves it in a day, mostly.
I have never, ever been able to do a Rubik's Cube.
Me neither.
I don't know what it is, but I know there's a trick to it. I never found the trick, and no one could show me, so I said, bug you, I threw it away.
She offers to teach him how to use it, of course. And they also start hanging out with one another. They go to the arcades, play some video games, like Pac-Man.
Yeah, back then. Yeah.
This was back in the 80s probably 80s.
Well, this movie was made in 2010.
Yeah, we do see 80 references like Ronald Reagan being elected for
I was going to say, but I would say it's obviously, the movie was done 2010, it was backdated to the period, and it doesn't mention the year. Oh, no, here's 1983 it's supposed to be.
Yeah. So it's the 80s, technically.
Yeah, 80s, yeah. So you would have computer games around then.
Right. So he gives her a chockey, and she pukes, a few minutes later, pukes up the chockey. Meaning she doesn't really like them, obviously.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't drink or eat what we do. She can only drinks. She's not a liquid diet. Remember, she is a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, I let the cat out of the bag, didn't I?
Of course, Abby's father or guardian objects to their friendship. I think he's more worried
Will not see this boy again. Yeah.
I think he's more worried that Abby will turn him into another him. Obviously.
Yeah, be another carer because that. We'll find out a bit later on.
Anyway, we then see the guardian, go to, tries to abduct another kid and tries to get the blood from him. Of course, he runs into a friend and they drive to a gas station. And as they're getting gas, and he's waiting in the car. Of course, he notices him in the car, and then he starts using the chloroform, I think it's the word, and
or something,
whatever, and he passes out. And of course, he drives the car away. Of course, some of the kids who were friends with the kid in the car start throwing dirt and stuff and start pelting the windscreen. I mean, the window, obviously. And then the guy quickly zooms off. Of course, as he's driving, he bumps into another truck, and he swerves and starts going down a hill, I think.
Yeah, and the car's tumbling down a hill and near a bridge or something or other, was it?
Yeah.
Into a little lake or river or something? Yeah.
I imagine the boy's injured, and the man, he's the kids are about to approach the car, and he's a goner, we know, because his identity is seen. So he takes a bottle of acid and puts on his face.
Yeah, concentrated sulfuric acid. That would hurt.
Oh, yes, it would hurt. Anyway, he's driven over to the hospital, like we talked about at the beginning. He's the scarred man I mentioned earlier, obviously. Anyway, so he's driven over to the hospital, and Abby hears about this on the radio, and she heads down there. Of course, she has no shoes on, and the nurse thinks that she may have been either, abused or in all that stuff. And she tries to call out to her when she inquires about her dad or guardian, but she kind of climbs up to the floor that the nurse mentions, and of course,
climbed up the outside wall, drain pipes and windowsills and stuff. Yeah.
She then meets her guardian, and he can't speak. See, whatever
acid got into his mouth and stuff.
Whatever caused the acid, whatever may have damaged his tongue or his vocal cords, so he cannot speak. But he gestures to Abby to drink his blood. So she drinks his blood, and as she's drinking, he kind of falls out of the window and hits his head onto the ground and kills himself. The nurse comes in, and that's all she sees, and the detective sees this and thinks it's a suicide. He also finds a note that says, "Sorry, Abby." That's it.
Yeah, lovely.
Anyway, Abby returns to the apartment, and she asks Owen to let her in. So he asks, of course, he was asleep, half asleep, so he says, "Sure, come in." So she comes in, undresses. To those of you who do not bother to adjust your TV, you don't see anything.
No, you don't see anything. No.
So she undresses and climbs into bed, and he notices her nudity and feels how cold she is, and he asks her, "Would you like to be my girlfriend?" And she asks him. Well, she first objects to this, but she thinks about it and thinks, "Do I have to do anything?" And he says, "No, it'll still be the same between us," all that stuff. Then she finally accepts, if you call that. Anyway, the next morning, Abby's nowhere to be seen, and we find a note saying that she's, next door and all that stuff, and fine. Anyway, then, of course, the policeman, I guess, start searching for trying to figure out where this guy came from. The detective suspects this is actually a satanic cult thingy-wing, the whole blood removal thingy-wing. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking about. Anyway, Owen eventually steps up and defends himself against his bullies. He actually, during their time on some ice, they were going down to play ice hockey, whatever, and stuff like that. He actually takes up a pole, and the bullies are about to threaten him with stuff like that, and he then swings at the bully, and it kind of damages his ear, Kenny's ear, obviously. Of course, he screams, and then his mum and him are called to the principal's office, and they go on about how he'll be suspended for what he did. Well, he does nearly get suspended. I think that's what the principal says. Of course, her mother defends Owen, saying that Owen was such a good little boy.
They're always good little boys, aren't they?
I think that the principal and the school are unaware that Kenny is a troubled child.
Well, he's been traumatised and terrorised by these other three boys. Yeah.
Kenny, on the other, is also bullied by his older brother. I guess that's the word. What's his name? Give me a minute, guys. I'm trying to figure out his name.
Jimmy.
I don't know. I don't have his name here, but I know
Jimmy's his brother. Yeah. Kenny's the one who got sore ear.
Yeah. Jimmy picks on him for his ear and calls him a little girl too. I imagine this is where he got the whole thing, being called a girl, yada yada yada, and thinks that he's obligated to, or he thinks he's obligated to call other weak kids, little girl.
Yeah.
Like it's just like what they often tell you about parents who pass on bad habits to children, things like that.
Yeah, a lot of them the parents. These two boys are out of control.
Yeah, I hate to think what the father's like. Anyway,
mongrel sounds right.
Anyway, so Owen wants to he also tells Abby this, and he's excited that he's finally sort of defend himself against the bullies. They're like he's making himself a little bit more powerful and happier. Well, not happier, obviously. He's still a shy, quiet little kid, obviously. Anyway, so one night, Abby, well, let me see. Oh, yeah. Abby bites another person, I guess, I'm not sure whom, when Abby and Owen, they actually went down to a secret place where in
the bottom of the building
and
somewhere.
Where Owen wants to do a blood pat with her.
So he cuts his thumb with his little knife.
And he wants to do the same with Abby's blood. But unfortunately she acts up and she
sees the blood. And the vampire nature starts to come out.
Yeah. Yes. But eventually she runs and kills another person. And then that person goes to hospital. She's still alive, so But then the nurse comes in and opens the window, and then she slowly burns to death.
Yeah, because that girl, was turning into a vampire, and obviously, as we all know, vampires and sunlight are not a good mix.
Yeah, and that explains why Abby's twisted the first victim's neck. I think it was to prevent them from turning into a vampire. That's my theory.
Yeah, to sever its spinal cord or something, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
you do that with zombies too, don't you? The non-living dead and stuff, where you actually break the neck and stuff.
I remember another vampire movie. They did the same thing called. I don't know what it's called. I think I may have to go back and refresh my memory on that movie. Doesn't matter. So anyway, Owen realizes, he then approaches Abby in her apartment and asks her, "Are you a vampire?" And she says, well, and he also asks her age. And of course, she says, "I'm 12. And she doesn't know, I guess she doesn't know how old she is, like how many years have passed. Time. I mean, by the sounds of it, I think she's been doing this for many, many years. Who knows?
Well, considering her current handler, guardian,
we also find
been around for a long time.
Yeah, we also find evidence of a past, what do they call it, 5 cents photos. Where you get.
When you had little photo booths and you put your say 10 cents or 20 cents in a quarter, or back in those days, or $1 or $2 now. And you get little, say, 4 or 5 photographs taken in the booth. Yeah. He finds one of those from a long time ago.
And it shows Abby no more than 12 again. And she doesn't look like she's changed too much.
And the young boy,
we can only assume, was her guardian.
Which he is about 60 now or something.
Yeah, 60. So technically, she's been around for quite a bit.
Yeah.
So this kind of freaks Owen out a little bit, and he wants to leave, but Abby doesn't let him at first. But then he asks her, what will she do if he leaves? And she finally lets him go, obviously. And of course he does. He does phone his parents. He tries to talk to his dad about evil. And his dad goes on about.
I think his dad thinks he's talking about mum.
Yeah, because her mother. I guess his mother is religious-ish, or according to his dad, I'm not sure.
Oh, whatever.
And his dad goes on about not to believe all this crap that his mother is talking about, stuff like that. And he, of course, he keeps telling him, shutting him down not to talk by saying, "I'll talk to you this weekend. I'll talk to you this weekend." I think aside from even though they're separated at this point, I think they're making a point of trying to do special joint custody or something like that.
All the good groovy things they do, yes.
Yeah. He then hangs up, and Owen is left alone. His mother is sleeping, and he has no one to talk to, not even another adult to explain the situation he's in. So, as I said before, the adults don't play a big part in this production.
Exactly.
They just make a slight appearance
token
here.
parts,
now.
cameos, if you will.
Yeah, it's more or less that they're just there. Anyway, so Owen has no one to turn to, and so Abby does eventually visit him, and this is where the whole "you must invite the vampire in" type thing comes into it. When Owen says not the very words like "please you can come in," all that stuff, she walks in. And we see blood dripping off her skull and stuff like that. And she starts developing a seizure. And then eventually Owen finally says, come in, yeah, you can come in, all that stuff. And she finally stops. And he says, if this continued happening, the blood thing, would that mean she dies or something? Of course, Abby doesn't know. She doesn't know anything about her species, I think. Maybe she's one of her own kind and no one has ever explained it to her. I don't know.
Well, no one's taken it as told the facts of life, vampire-wise.
You think, seeing as who knows how old she is, whether or not she with her brain power, I'm amazed that she still has the mind of a child, but at the same time has not even developed, adult-related stuff. Anyway, he gets her to have a bath. He takes the messy clothes that she was wearing that got covered in blood and throws them away, and gets her to wear one of his mum's dresses. See, his mum, at this point, his mum is with her lawyers discussing lawyer procedures, stuff like that.
Settlements and crap and stuff.
Yeah, and who's going to get what in the end. So, anyway, she eventually arrives, and Abby slips out the window to her room. Of course, later that night when his mum's asleep, he goes into Abby's apartment and sleeps on the floor. Of course, he gets a message, later on that says, from Abby, saying that she's in the bathroom, that you must not go in there, and to see him this evening. Making plans of having a date, obviously.
Lovely.
But before we get to that, the detective is rat-tat-tatting on the chamber door.
Yes.
Isn't that the term you often describe,
Yeah,
Mike?
a bit like the Raven.
Yeah. Well, not really a chamber door, but you get the meaning. The apartment door, and Owen he sees through the little peeky hole. That's the
that privacy hole.
Of course.
Your front door. Yeah.
The man takes out his gun and with a mighty kick kicks down the door.
What?
And he enters the room and he notices the letter there and he starts making his attempts to go into the bathroom. And there as he opens the door, he sees the whole part, the window part is covered with papers and stuff.
Not to let the sun in for obvious reasons.
Throughout the whole apartment, that has
skin cancer is a very big concern.
He starts pulling. He actually pulls back the blanket and sees Abby sleeping there, and then he starts pulling at the window thing. I guess to get a quicker look to see if she's a victim or something.
And the skin starts to burn.
And then Owen appears and he kind of distracts the detective. But then Abby pounces on the detective and starts gobbling him up. Yeah. Of course, the detective reaches out to Owen, begging for help, but Owen
reaches out and closes the door.
And we don't hear the moans, groans, or crashing sounds. We just hear dead silence at this point. But we do see Owen's hands over his ears, which could mean he could hear all the moans, groans, and yelling and swear words.
The Nile is the river in Egypt, right?
Yes. Abby opens the door and approaches Owen, and she tells him that it's time for her to leave. And of course, he's a little sad about this, but what can you do? She's a wanted woman. So she packs her belongings, or whatever belongings she has with her, and they call us. Well, she gets a taxi. Later on, Owen's at the pool, a school pool, I guess.
Yeah, doing sports afternoon
swimming
or something.
Stuff.
Yeah.
And as he's learning to swim, some of the school bullies, they set fire outside the gym.
In the big garbage dumpsters?
Yeah. Anyway, the coach gets told by the boys that about the fire outside, and he goes out there, and then he gets locked out, and then the remaining kids are told by the boys to get.
So it's just
go on and get.
Just Kevin, Jimmy, the other guys, and little Owen in the pool area.
Yeah. Of course, Owen tries to flee. He tries to get to the locker room. He tries to get his knife, but they were too fast for him, and they grab the knife off him, and they pull him back into the swimming pool and dump him into the pool.
With an idea they might drown him.
Yeah. And Kenny's brother tells him that if he can hold his breath for
3 minutes, we'll let you survive.
He'll give him a nick on the cheek. If he does not stay underwater for 3 minutes, he'll get a poke in the eye by that knife.
Yeah, very nice.
So, with deep breath,
they're going to drown him.
Owen is pushed under the water, and we watch from below as an unknown individual is killing the boys.
Well, we see marks of things happening on top of the water, but we can't see through the water.
Yeah, we see them sliding around the water, bits of dead bodies.
Their head falls off, a bit of blood
into
in the water. Yeah.
And then I'm amazed that at this point Owen is not losing breath, or I don't know how long it usually takes for a person to drown when water gets into the system.
Depends how long you can take. I can hold my breath. When I was younger, about a minute and a half.
Yeah. Anyway, he soon enough gets out once the boys all of them are killed.
He goes very quiet, and he pops his head up.
He pops his head out, and he gets a bit of air, and we do hear a few more screams from the dead boys, and we see Abby's bloody feet approaching Owen, and Owen looking up, and then we see a layout of the whole pool area that's covered in blood and
bits and pieces.
Then we cross over to Owen and on a train heading to gosh knows where, I don't know where.
With a big trunk with him.
Guess
who's in the trunk? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is alone, obviously, with the trunk. And the train conductor asks for his ticket, obviously, and as he heads off, Abby's knocking on the...
They were communicating using Morse code through the apartment wall. So
saying how much... She says, taps, taps, I love you, and he says, tap, tap, I love you too. Then we don't know it. We then fade to black, and I heard in the sequel that Owen eventually gets turned to a vampire, and I guess both him and Abby sort of remain vampires for gosh knows how long.
Lovely.
So,
true love.
Of course, in the movies, they seem to. It may be the chance that he becomes her new guardian. I don't know.
Well, I think he's supposed to be. Someone has to do the adult stuff around her as well.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I guess I do think this. I believe this would have been the case. I mean, with this movie, I don't think Abby would have had to gore to kill her.
Look, I think it follows the book because I haven't read the book, obviously, but
me neither.
The original book and the original movie that the right one in the European version, the Swedish version, I think it was. This is actually a remake of it. Mm. It's not a rebooting or a reinterpretation. So actually, they tried to copy the Swedish movie. Mm. So if that was faithful to the book, this would have been because this follows the same storyline and the same sort of ending.
Yeah, it did.
I'd say this might have been the ending in the book.
Yeah. Bear in mind, guys, both movies, they didn't have too much of the adults in this. And,
it's based around two kids.
It's mostly based around Owen, what he sees and stuff like that.
And how he comes at the coming of age of a vampire girlfriend.
Of course, there is a few side stories that are not really important because it's not really important sometimes. But there's some interesting stuff that, like, maybe there's a bit of detective's side of the story here and there, a little bit. You're not supposed to like the detective in the movies, and you're supposed to pick either Abby or Owen's side to try to figure out will they survive this ordeal, of course. I do think this movie's really good, and I tried to read the book one time when I was a lot younger, but it was very, very graphic. And I guess not really good for a younger person. And you have to keep an open mind about it because it does describe some really disgusting, gory things, not just bloody vampire stuff. I mean, adult things that that is not really worth mentioning, obviously, on this channel. Obviously, I can't really mention it because it sounds too graphic and not worth mentioning. So, anyway, let's discuss reception, Mike, if we can.
Well, have a look. Filming. I got lots of notes by hand here. Reception. I haven't got a lot on reception. Okay, but I'll give you what I got, guys. Surprisingly, look, this didn't get a lot of box office, but like I said, it might have done better in home media. But Rotten Tomatoes gave it 88% approval rating based on 220 critics. So it wasn't just, say, 5 people, so that's pretty good. It says, similar to the original in all the right ways.
See?
So obviously the people who voted have seen the foreign version as well. But with enough changes to stand on its own. So they've changed a few little things here and there.
Yeah, well, bear in mind, in that one, I think the book one, I think it was based in, like in Europe too, Mike, obviously. But anyway, go on with what you're saying.
Let Me In is the rare Hollywood remake that doesn't add insult to inspiration.
Sweet.
Not bad. Let Me In was included in the Rotten Tomatoes list of the 10 best reviewed wide release films of 2010. So that's not too bad. Now let's just move down a bit. Metacritic gave it 79% rating. Generally favourable, obviously. They got the same sort of attitude. Here we go. Acclaimed horror author Stephen King wrote.
Oh, good. We got an expert.
Let Me In is a genre-busting triumph. Not just a horror film, but the best American horror film in the past 20 years.
That's a good high approval rating.
That's coming from a guy who writes weird books and which have been made into movies. Most of the people have gone on and said, yeah, good movie. But
really
there's obviously a couple of guys didn't like it.
Give us an example, even if it's a brief one.
Yeah. Some people, it's a direct remake of the other movie done 2 years earlier, blah, blah, blah. But so that doesn't really matter. But most of the critics liked it.
And most of the European movies, I don't mean to sound rash, are not really noticed over here sometimes.
Well, you've got a lot of people don't like watching subtitles, and they don't normally make it to the Western cinemas.
Yeah, except for when if you're living in Australia or
America,
and I don't know if America has SBS.
No, I'm talking about cinemas.
Anyway,
okay.
I'm just meaning that. Go on.
When you go to the cinema, you generally won't get a foreign movie unless you get an art house or an independent theatre who might put it on. The average theatres, cinemas, will actually put on English-speaking movies as a preference. And when there's a plethora of movies around, they got a lot to pick from.
Yeah. Okay. And like I said before, if you're looking for foreign movies, some of them, you would either go on SBS or the other channel I've often go on YouTube to look at foreign films here and there.
Anyway.
I'll probably next time review that one. I won't promise you guys that I'll do exactly justice to the same reviewing it, obviously, because I'll probably, if I'm going to review that one, I'd probably be saying the same storyline over and over for you guys, obviously. Wouldn't you say, Mike?
Yeah. Now, I don't normally do accolades and stuff. However, Chloe Grace Moretz won quite a few quite a few awards. Was nominated for quite a few. Here we go. Chloe won Breakthrough Artist through Austin Film Critics Association Award. Central Ohio, she was nominated Actor of the Year and Best Overlooked Film. That's not her. Breakthrough Film Artist, she won that. We just came for a list here. Critics' Choice Movie Award, she was nominated as Best Young Actress. Detroit Film Critics, Breakthrough Performance, Chloe, nominated. Empire Awards, Best Newcomer. Phoenix Film Critics, Best Young Actress, nominated, didn't win that one. Richard Attenborough's Film Awards, Rising Star, won. So he goes on. She's done pretty damn good out of this, and I think I've seen some other shows. I just can't remember the names of the movies I've seen her in, but she has been some other things, and she's a damn fine little actress.
Yes.
Not little now. She's grown up a tad. She's a big vampire now.
Yes. So anyway, guys, as we're saying, the point is this movie has received some really good approval, and I'm glad that even Stephen King
even likes it. Yeah, he might have even read the book too.
Yeah, he probably bothered. I mean, the man himself knows good taste when he sees it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yes, and he knows where to find inspiration from when you think about it.
Yep. Now,
after all, he made his own vampire movie. Goodness sakes.
Yes. Which one? Go on.
That would be the let me see, what's it called?
Nightflyer?
No. Oh yeah, Nightflyer, but that's more of a short story.
Well, that was still a movie. I've got that in my collection.
And let me see, there would have been
Salem's Lot?
Yeah, Salem's Lot.
Yeah, that's one of the movies. Yeah.
That's a vampire-related movie.
Nosferatu job, that one.
Yeah,
now, it's graded. It's rated.
Right, that's rated.
You do first.
I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. Yeah. That's my verdict.
I'm going to probably give it 9 out of 10 too. I would give it... I might have given it a little bit more, a bit less, depending on a few things. But when I see a good remake, and I mean, I've seen the first movie and this movie. They're both good movies. So they haven't trashed the storyline. I haven't read the book, but I get the impression they stayed faithful to the theme of the book. They might have changed a few things to Americanise it. Obviously, it's in America, but being the book was written by a European, so they would have changed a few things. There's a few things, a few little things, I didn't quite like, but basically it's a good movie. I'm going to give it 9 because I think it was a good effort, and as a remake, it hasn't lost anything. Sometimes the remakes are, that one with that sci-fi, the old sci-fi one, that alien one where the guy came down, the guy with the glasses and the weird eyes, and Roger Corman made. Was it Roger Corman made or somebody? That alien guy came down. He's living in a mansion and stuff.
Oh, you mean Not of This Earth?
Yeah, there's 3 movies. The original and 2 remakes. And the original was the best movie. Hello. No, this is a good movie.
I do think it's interesting that Hammer. I don't know what Hammer's got up to now.
Nothing. Check up on him. Yeah.
I don't think there's too many things at the moment. I mean, I would have thought it would have been great in the 70s that they continued moving with the genres, moving up with the times, exactly. Encouraging new young independent filmmakers to become even and expanding their awesome work. I don't know. Maybe they didn't catch up. I don't know. Maybe the John Carpenters and Wes Cravens and George A. Romero's guys pushed them out of business. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Don't know.
I could be wrong.
Anyway.
Considering that they were practically Hammer was on its way out while these guys were already jumped into the seat.
Hammer was... Okay, how to put it? Hammer made some interesting stuff. Okay, don't get me wrong. I do like Hammer movies. I got a whole file of them in my library.
Me too.
I got the TV programs as well. They made some good stuff, but I think they're limited by, I wouldn't say a low budget mentality, but I think they might have been kept down to that level.
Yeah.
Maybe by funding, whatever.
Yeah.
The style they actually did. They did more location shoots.
Yeah,
where,
I seem to recall when we watched that documentary, they were running out of funds, and they had to use the props and sets to use for several some of the productions.
They'd reuse a lot of stuff. I don't think they had big budgets, so they had to sort of do things on the skinny a bit, and I don't think it actually showed too much in their productions, but it did take away a bit from the polish of a big budget production. How's that?
It would have been great if it would have continued. Like, I would have loved it if how they would have I would have loved it if they continued growing, just like Disney's still growing here and there. But I would have loved it if Hammer grew too.
Hammer could have grown if somebody decided to come in as a silent partner and throw some cash their way. Or
at least have a new, if the old filmmakers added some new filmmakers along the way. Like, even though they did kind of push the new envelope of filmmaking. Like, they did encourage the new age filmmaking styles, stuff like that. And even went with the whole nudity and sex and rock and roll horror stuff thrown in. Was kind of encouraged the next generation of filmmakers to bring that on into their productions.
Yeah. They did a few things. I mean, to me they were a bit like. So you had Hammer, and they were doing their style of movies, and you had guys like Johnny Gorman. Roger Corman. I'm sort of an actor, I know. Roger Corman. Now, he was doing his stuff, that small studio, Cameron Studio, but he was just one step ahead of Hammer in a way, especially those later movies, those Victorian Toads of Vincent Price and stuff. Yeah. They were really good quality movies, where Hammer wasn't quite up to that level in some cases.
I see.
Because I think the other studio in America was making a bit more money, so I throw a bit more money at the productions. Yeah. I think so.
Just thinking of Hammer, I was just thinking about how they made Dracula, and another studio in America made their own Dracula, and Hammer's one was a lot more better.
Yeah. So they had, in their state of acts, they had Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and a whole plethora of other actors and actresses in there who were part of their main stable, and they kept churning them out and making good movies with them because people knew them, especially in England, obviously, but they became well known in Australia and America and other places. So, a Christopher Lee movie, it must be pretty good, or
Yeah. One thing I thought was pretty cool about it is that even though Christopher Lee's character didn't have any much dialogue, he had presence.
Yeah, that's something about Christopher Lee. And actually, I must admit, he had that thing about. He had a good film presence, screen presence, and he came in there as a vampire or something, or a businessman or a scientist. He just had that something about that air about him. And where Peter Cushing had this sort of I'd call Sherlock Holmes a sort of person. I saw him as Van Helsing, Sherlock Holmes, and different things like that, and he became, to me, the epitome of Sherlock Holmes and
that's probably why
Van Helsing. Yeah.
That's probably why he was good as both.
Yeah, he had that sort of scientist, detective sort of, that sort of educated man sort of thing about him. Yeah.
That's why he was so good. I guess the studios loved him so much.
Yeah, I loved him. Right? To me, on the world stage, I think they were well respected, but I think they were still a bit undervalued. Anyway, here we go. Availability, if you will.
here it comes.
eBay, there's plenty for sale. However, on Amazon, it's only rentable as far as I can see. Now, having said that, it could be on other streaming services and other places, so you should be able to find a copy thereof if you are interested.
Sweet!
But I would suggest also, if you like this movie and you're renting it, and you can find a cheap rental of the original movie called Let the Right One In, which I think 2008, have a look at both of them and compare them. They're very, very similar, but I don't mind the fact that the other one is in a foreign language and subtitled. It's pretty damn good. So anyway, having said that, I am finished.
Yes, so I'm finished too, guys. So check it out. Check both of them out if you want.
I would suggest. If you're renting them, they're not expensive.
Yeah. But remember, guys, check the dates. If you don't want to watch the old foreign
but
Swedish
the name
one.
is different. This one is Let Me In, the other one is Let the Right One In.
I know, but some people on Amazon, they just write it wrong.
Oh, near enough is good enough. No.
Yeah. So be sure to check the dates and check the actors.
Yeah, there's that Chloe.
And check the director.
Well, Chloe Moretz, her name's on as an actor. Well, that's the right one. Yeah.
Yeah, because as most people would go, when they go online and try to find this movie, they may easily get the wrong one.
See, people often order the wrong movie and say, "Oh, it's a rort. They sent me the wrong movie." No, you ordered the wrong movie, you twit. Don't blame Amazon. Don't blame eBay. Don't blame anybody else for your own stupidity. What I'm saying is, get it right when you order. Always check it. Remember Santa checks his list twice? Well, why don't we?
Yes, good point, Mike. That's good advice to the audience. So, guys, remember to always check.
Exactly. Double check. Just make sure check the actors, producer, director, that sort of stuff. Yeah, I got the right one. Then buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, make sure you let the right one in.
Okay.
So, anyway, that's it from us today, guys. So, this is Sarah Stephenson.
Yeah, and Michael.
Saying see you guys around. And we'll see you guys next time on our next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Cool. Bye.